Okay, so good evening, everybody, and welcome again to our episode on Ask the Experts session on Saturday night, 9 p.m. So last week we took a little break, and so this weekend we are coming back again with Prof Mohammad, friends. So we're under the umbrella of PRKPP, which is like a college, it's like a coalition of NGOs working together, education platform. We talk about environmental, community education, about mental health, about physical health, and we are also collaborating, of course, with our own little fit unit. Okay, so we're really much focused on physical and wellness part of it. So just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Felicia. So I'm in the wellness industry for the past 12 years, working with Coach Francis, who's actually also my father. So we, as a father and daughter team, from family to community. So we do uh, put a lot of work in terms of uh, working with people's wellness. Movement is the safest cure. So we work towards uh, putting, getting everybody to move, getting everybody to understand how to lead a healthy, active lifestyle. So nutrition, exercise, and also with Prof Muhammad, we are working together on the mental health side. So physical and mental. So this session is actually a result of pandemic because everybody is physically distancing, but we can still connect via social media. So why not we get together at least like once a week to talk about important topics? And this is actually our third session, I think, third or fourth session in the year. Last year we did about 18 weeks of Ask the Expert series. So we have an archive of all those videos and calls that we have recorded and uploaded on YouTube for future reference. So today we are talking to a few people, but the videos can go out and reach to an unseen audience. So that's what we hope to achieve as well. So tonight topic will be very interesting because again we are facing another MCO 2.0, and with the current interstate no travels, no festive season, cases are rising. So the question is, are we angry with the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions? I mean, especially now Chinese New Year is coming, and I think a lot of people have not seen able to travel or see the family and things like that. So today we are going to learn one of our greatest self-management tool on anger management and impulse control. So of course today's topic will be conducted by Prof. Mohammed. Right. So the floor is yours, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Felicia. A very good evening. Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera to all. Once again, we meet for this Saturday night session, and I hope it will bring benefit to us all and improve our knowledge and our understanding, and also possibly we try to practice ways of dealing with our problems, anger and impulse control. So let just me share with you my slide. Okay. Okay, I hope you all can see the slide now.
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, let me begin with what we call initially the name was restriction of movement order, and later it was changed to control movement order. So as you know, since March, when we first hit by the so-called COVID infection, since January, and then it get worse, and we were so worried about the spreading because as it is was virulent. Then we actually initiate what we call the Prevention and Control of Infectious Disease Act and the Police Act. And that is where we end up with having what we call a restriction of movement disorder or a control movement disorder. and all of us know what are the prohibitions. So we can't move into mass gatherings, cannot move in big groups. We cannot go to our, meeting up with families, worship place, even going to, businesses, supermarkets, and things like that. We have to be very careful with a very strict SOPs. So all those restrictions actually, and everyone has to comply. If not, they can put us be fined to a certain amount that actually quite a heavy sum. So all of us actually initially, because of that situation, we felt this issue of being confined in a way. Definition of confinement is restriction or restraint, or in the form of actually a indirect imprisonment. We have been actually so-called being confined in our home area to some, but to others maybe you can still travel, but a very strict situation. So this confinement has created quite a big issue to most of us. As you know, most of us doesn't like to be stuck in a particular place for a long while. Initially, we thought it was like a holiday. It was nice to be suddenly not going to office, can work from home. But that so-called holiday mode was felt easily for only 2 weeks. But subsequently, it start to feel threatened because a lot of things happen, a lot of things can happen. We develop what we call acute stress because of the nature of confinement that is going to be prolonged in terms of time. Because initially we thought it's only for 2 weeks, then it got extended and it got extended, and subsequently it go into phases, and then it move on until now we are facing for already a year into this kind of FCO situation. So obviously, when somebody is stressed, they feel threatened in their own internal self and also in their external livelihood. That's why when you are now to some who are not employed, who doesn't have a regular salary, they start feeling that they cannot earn, they cannot do their jobs, they cannot do their business and whatnot. So that becomes a stressful situation for them, and then it develops what we call fear. So here, after 2 weeks or so, or into 1 month, the fear is becoming more and more real because with this so-called restriction, some people can't even earn enough money to survive. Some people has a lot of issues with loans and whatnot. Some people fear because of actually they are stuck with the people around them within the house that possibly they don't really like to be there all the time with these people, which to them may be rather, allergic in that sense to them. So I believe this fear is quite real because the situation is there. They cannot get out of their confined space, especially home and only around the very short distance of what they can do and can go. So this fear is real. And then subsequently, we were slapped again with the phase 2 MCO. And then we were slapped with the phase 3 MCO, which continue for 1 month to 2 months. And so subsequently, by then, this is what we develop chronic stress. And what I'm trying to actually highlight most now is the psychological effect of the stress, not only the physical effect, but the psychological effect, which is like you're getting more and more fatigue, angry, anxiety, and not feeling well with whatever is going on, right? You got headaches and you got trouble concentrating and things of that nature. So since the stress, the COVID virus, COVID-19 or COV-2 virus is still available, the danger you can see now in MCO part 2, whereby you can see more virulent, more contagious, even younger group is now dying because of this infection. So things are getting worse. So here, basically after we got the phase 2, phase 3, and then we were able to actually a little feel at ease where it become what we call conditional CO. There we can actually move around. The only thing is we have to strictly abide by the SOPs. Then subsequently it end up again in some places with EMCO, enhanced MCO. But in some places, it's already become recovery. That's where we feel better. We were able, but again, we strict SOP. We keep listening to what is going on. That makes us even a little jittery about the situation that we are in right now. So come the MCO part 2, this further aggravate the situation. And now what is the worrying thing is that since our March 2020, or even earlier than March 2020, we keep hearing all this news about the cases, the rise and fall of the number of cases every day. So without fail, actually, we have been implanted with a lot of these news, which actually further enhance our fear, and subsequently to some, especially for those, I think even for the stable person, after this 1 year or so that we are into this COVID pandemic, even the stable person can also actually felt threatened now, because we heard quite a number of situations whereby before we thought that it doesn't last this long, and now we know that we may get affected because some of the organization, they even have to reduce the salary for the workers, but to some maybe they have quite a strong finance situation, and they have a good home environment and things like that. Maybe they are a little bit not they are so-called like untouchable for the moment, but they still have the fear of getting the infection, the fear of contacting and subsequently getting into the serious complication. So all these news are not good, and unfortunately, it is not only in Malaysia. So because it is not in Malaysia, it has been worldwide, global, and you can see the numbers. And almost every country has this kind of a report. Unfortunately, because of all this, it end up that our fear, our stress, our anxiety has been compounded seriously. And so what happened now, a lot of people are actually quite distressed, quite confused in their mind maybe because a lot of things is happening, especially the financial situation, the economic situation, and subsequently the relationship issues that crops up with confinement, with MCO, and subsequently the other issues with regard to education, university student, school students are all now all stuck at home, and there's, I would say, in a way, even though before it's not an issue with the family, but overcrowding can be one of the issue now. If you can see PDPR, where the education is at home, there is also a big issue of the resources, the computer that need to be shared, the handphone, the smartphone, or the tablets also, quite restricted in number. So these are all bringing a lot of situation, stressful situation to people within this area. So in the analysis, we note that basically, again, the second MCO, people were talking about panic buying. People are worried about this thing can happen again. So there could be an issue there, or even people are not able to travel. So what happened is that within that first 2 days of given time to sort things out, so some of them move around very much, trying to get to the place they want to, and then being in confined, they cannot get back to the other place that they came from. So these are all panic traveling is there, and then they are worried about some places water disruption. Also in our country, we talk about some politicking issue. There was an element of a government and opposition in crisis, and then we also have a lot of agencies giving inconsistent directions and conflicting narratives. All this actually created more and more trouble to individual. And I would say, if the person is weak within themselves, if the person has issues within themselves and has issues around them, external, so obviously it will actually infect the person badly. Even as I said, the most stable person also can start to feel the burden of having this COVID-19 pandemic and the effect of MCOs. So obviously it is resulting in anxiousness, in confusion, in depression, in paranoia and things of that sort. So COVID-19, the early lockdown studies found that about 45% of adults have adverse effect on the mental health, and about 30% showed signs of psychological distress, anxiety, psychosomatic physical complaint, and subsequently depressive symptoms. They may not have a disorder yet, but we have to look into that too. So signs of distress can lead into a psychological disorder. And up to 70% felt this period was stressful for their careers, obviously. Especially even the frontliners are tired to handle, like some were saying that 8 hours of with PPE, with a situation environment that is fearful of getting the infection, and on top of that, in the environment that is not really conducive to work and things of that nature, with their own PPE issues, with their own resources that is available. So there are a lot of stress going out in the workplace. And also employers need to find out how they should manage the psychological effect, especially to their employee, with regard to low morale, hyper stress, and fear and whatnot. So now not only the employers have to look into that, parent has also have to look into the psychological effect on the children, and parent also need to know the psychological effect among themselves. Father and mother need to really focus on how they can actually handle and manage this the problem. So one of the issue here, as I said, today I want to focus on anger, how we can actually focus looking at what is anger, what is the effect of anger, and how can we then deal with anger in our management to actually mitigate or to minimize the complication of anger. So basically, as you know, the definition of anger, anger is actually a normal emotion, but when anger become out of control, that is the main thing. It become out of control, you turn to become verbally aggressive. Subsequently, you may become physically aggressive. All right, and if it remain, it become persistent, it will interfere with relationship, it interfere with other people's life, it interfere with your life and whatnot. So it is important to be aware of your anger and how it has affect you and how it affect people around you. So this is the first thing. Know that this is emotion is normal, not to blame to have that emotion, but must know until the limits of you can express an emotion. That is important. Usually the cause of anger in this case, some people has anger with the pandemic. Obviously there are triggers that can cause the anger. The triggers could be from internal, the triggers could be from external events. But unfortunately, there are also elements that could add up into this kind of triggers. As I said, there are people who has actually past histories of feeling not well, past hurts, past guilt feeling, or mixture of all these kind of internal psychological turmoil within them. So that will actually add on to the triggering factor. And subsequently also to some, there's a lot of this so-called demands and unreasonable expectation. I heard an employee who worked from home told me about now the employer or the superior or the supervisor does not really understand and doesn't realize that they have not in a conducive environment to do work, even though they are supposed to work at home, but home is not really a good place to work because there are a lot of distraction there. Similarly, students, they have got many assignments to complete, the demand is so high, they are stuck at home, they can't really get a lot of things to do, but the teachers are expecting them to give them all the so-called homework to be done. Sometimes some of the teachers ask them to actually achieve the homework within the same time period as the others also expected. And so they also may get frustrated within the family, within the support system, and some people may actually end up getting derogatory remark. People complain about them at home, because everyone is actually now at the stage of stress, high stress, so they keep actually talking against each other in a way, commenting critical and things of that nature to each other. So sometimes they are threatened in terms of actually to do something that they should be able to do, but the situation doesn't allow them to do. These are causes of the anger. And as you know, right now we are talking about what are the masks of anger, the face of anger. It could be from actually insecurity to start with, A lot of family are quite insecure now, especially in terms of financial insecurity. Subsequently end up with a more evidence, a more prominent relationship insecurities that come up before they were able to actually push under the carpet, repress the feeling. But now, because they are almost like 24 hours being together, so you can see the relationship, how it has affected them. Some is because of the fear of the infection itself, fear of losing their job, fear of not having money, fear of not able to pay up whatever that they need to pay up, and then a lot of things there. Some of them are fear, develop anxiety because a family member got the illness, someone died, and then they become post-traumatic stress disorder. Some people become acute stress disorder and things of that nature, right? I think in terms of the others, depression will comes into, and that depression, especially for young age or for some people, they react depression by actually a behavior maneuver. They become angry easily. They show out their anger easily. So depression can come in that manner rather than they become very quiet, isolate themselves and things of that nature. Usually among adolescents, depression has been portrayed through behavior, through antisocial behavior, through violence, and through actions. That is where sometimes we don't realize is actually from sadness or depression. So now we have a threat. The threat is with regard to COVID infection. It's getting more. The numbers are showing now it's four-figure number for Malaysia for everyday infection cases. So it does lead to fear. And then obviously the government is trying to control as much as they can, and to some we feel that it's also over control, and that leads to frustration, and the frustration actually leads to anger. And some was actually maybe worries about being lonely. People doesn't know them, people cannot see them, they are stuck in their place, nobody can come out and visit, nobody can come out and help. So that is where the anger comes and arise from that nature. So what happened? They can have action like, they can also then, if the fear is coming, then they can become offensive and defensive. They can also threaten others. They also can threaten themselves in a way of suicidal nature. They can hurt themselves. They lost their ability to control within themselves. Okay, and some actually ending up is blaming others because they were not happy with what is going on right now, how people manage it. At the end of the day, they feel that we have this so-called maybe so-called a myth with regard to only a certain group of people are in trouble with this MCO, but some other group of people actually did not have any problem at all, and they get away with so many things. So there are tips to actually manage your anger. Number one, I would say, first, you remember your thoughts are the one that cause you anger, not the other party, the other person, the environment. It is basically all coming from your own thoughts. The way you see it, the way you decipher it, the way you address it, your thoughts is the one actually that causes you to have this anger emotion. And then ask, if possible, ask if my anger is going to help me achieve my goal. Then people can look at me respectful or not. So you have to ask that kind of situation before you act on your anger. So sometimes if you know that anger action or anger behavior, at the end of the day, will make you even lose more in terms of relationship, in terms of people respect and whatnot. So stop being defensive. Try to actually open your mind to listen what other person says, and try to understand other person's perspective, because that is where you don't react first. You try to listen first and open your mind. And on top of that, not only that, think about what is the way you want to actually handle the situation, and at least you know what is your level right now. If you know your level is reaching 10 over 10, the anger is terrible, it's going to be worsened, is very difficult to now control. So make sure that you know that, because you know that you have reached 6 7 onward until 10, that means it can get terrible. if you did not take charge anymore. And so to make it cool down, to make it better, practice deep breathing and other form of relaxation technique. It doesn't matter what and what techniques you want to do, what are the things that you want to do, but basically the outcome will be you will become more calm, you will become more relaxed, right? If necessary, if something that is coming face to face with you that create the situation, that create the anger, obviously the best is just not to respond to it. Silent is the best maneuver, and if you can, just walk away to calm yourself down. So let's say if situation keep reminding you and saying that, oh, here we go again, is going to happen again, the way people bring it to you. So you have to transform your angry thoughts into saying that I can handle this. So whatever it is, if you go into the situation where you keep repeated yourself into, how should I say, reminiscence of the past, and you say that you cannot do anything, that is when the anger will escalate. Right? Example, like you're saying, it's never going to change. No, this is what with regard to people who doesn't understand you, people who keep criticizing you, critical upon you. So maybe you have the idea that it is never going to change, and that is a mindset that you have that actually create yourself to be angry with situation that you face with a person or with that particular situation. So you must tell to yourself, you must say to yourself that I trust that I will be okay. I am in charge. I know what to do. Sometimes you may be angry to someone because you see that person is a stupid person, a stupid idiot, as you said, keep doing all those things and make you angry. But just trying to understand, maybe they have a bad day, right? If somebody do things to you, don't think that actually they were doing it because of you. They maybe have their own reason. Usually they have their own problems and we don't understand. So that is important to bring your thoughts properly. Nothing ever work out. This is another issue. A lot of people have given up. I would say youngsters nowadays, what worries me is that their anger has never resolved because they say that nothing ever will work out. This person who are dealing with, they are dealing with, will never learn, will never want to see the difference, never want to listen to them and things of that. So I think if possible, try to consult yourself, comfort yourself with understanding that possibly there is a lot of we call it here a hikmah, something that happened. They must happen for a reason, and then I think you can feel good about it. There is a higher plan in that sense. If somebody says that I can't do anything right, so don't blame yourself. Accept that you can make mistake, right? So it's okay to make mistakes. So sometimes people have this so-called self-defeating attitude, and that's actually make them angry, not with anyone else, but with themselves. So you may have this self-talk, as I said, to manage your anger. The self-talk must be very positive in nature. You can always say that I can handle this. I don't need to respond right now. I can put it aside for a while. I run away, take time out. I don't have to do anything. You don't need to respond and you don't need to do anything as yet. I can let tomorrow take care of itself. So no need to worry about the future also. Just remain at the present mindfully and try to not escalate into some people will bring it again to make it more extension, and that extension doesn't help because it complicates matters. Right? If the self-talk is that I don't have to control it, so basically not everything that you can or you must control. So sometimes just let it be, right? And also trust yourself and trust God and trust things around you that it will be work out well, right? And then always focus on the good thing. Sometimes look at it that a lot of these so-called situations, it is not about you, it is about other people who created that, but you actually feel it yourself in your thoughts that it is about you. That means you intro introject it into yourself or turn it inward and actually put yourself into a situation and blame yourself. So there are many ways to control anger. First, control the reaction. So if you actually respond to a stimulus with an immediate reaction, as we call like a knee-jerk reaction, or we call it, you try to firefight the situation immediately. you may actually end up trouble, because people say that emotion doesn't bring you any good. First, use your thoughts, your thinking. Once you think, maybe then you can respond accordingly. Or if you can't leave the place or the situation, don't try to be there and put yourself into the situation where the anger will escalate. Or spend yourself, your energy in something very meaningful. Example, any activity. Example, if you can, maybe you can go into gym, maybe you can do your dance, maybe you can, walk around, you can run short distance, you can punching back and things of that sort. And number four, take a good deep breathing exercise. As I said, deep breathing exercise is a diaphragmatic breathing exercise. All this while, anger will lead you to actually hyperventilation and short upper chest breathing, which is not good because oxygenation and carbon dioxide exchange doesn't happen very well. Or you can count down to 50. Give your time to actually focus on counting down. And by the time you reach that number, if you're still not relaxed, continue counting down until you become more relaxed, because counting down can be a distractor. Or you can use meditation, you can relax your mental, you can remove yourself from the anger, just put yourself away from that anger, or listen to music, generate positive thoughts, and imagine a nice scene. This is where, if you are good in meditation, for us, maybe prayers, maybe zikir, maybe, listening to Quran verses and whatnot will help. And here, in the sense of anger style, some people respond to anger aggressively, some people respond to anger passively, some become passive aggressive, some become projective aggressive. But the best is actually be an assertive person, right? Behavior in an assertive person will actually, you state what is in your mind, you take responsibility, and actually you are not the only winner. The other party also win in the situation that you handle. So that is what assertive is all about. Assertive is when you consider other person's point of view, you consider your point of view, then actually you reach out what we call win-win situation. The others will all create either you only win, the other person lose, either you only lose, the other person win, or actually passive aggressive. Yes, you also not winning, the other person is also not winning. Okay. Projective is another thing. It appears to be passive, however, the angry usually afraid to own or express the anger. So you actually project that anger onto someone else. You don't own it yourself. So these are the anger style, and I believe if you can be assertive, that is the best. But all these need training because it's all skill based. So how to have a healthy anger? Healthy anger is to give yourself permission to express your frustration, but always remember, don't hurt other person while expressing your anger. Always remember this golden rule in life: do unto others what you want others do unto you. So if you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, obviously the other person will reciprocate accordingly. So the most important thing is that if ever you want to hurt, you can only hurt yourself. Don't bring your anger and hurt others. And here I just want to go shortly into definition of impulsive. This is about you're motivated by emotion rather by your thoughts. Usually the action are spontaneous. It is based on your desires at that point of a time or the urges that was there. Example, the urge to be angry, then you respond to it based on emotion, but not based on your thinking. And it's really spontaneous. Unfortunately, when spontaneous things happen, you may regret later, but it's very difficult to undo after you regret. So what is impulsive behavior? Obviously, acting without thinking. This means that this is not planned. Obviously, there are potential consequences that you have not considered. That's why we call in pepatah Melayu, we call it, telajak perahu boleh diundur, telajak kata buruk padahnya, and something of that nature. So sometimes in fact it can be fun and spontaneous, but always remember it can also put risk to hurting others or can become dangerous to yourself. So be careful about being an impulsive person and don't end up with having an impulsive control disorder. So how to manage them? Take your time. Don't immediately try to react. Think before you act. Take time to consider options. Don't put up more options first. How to react upon things, and think before speak or think before act. So remain calm when you are stressed or challenged, and thoughtful and considerate for others, and proceed carefully. Because this is important. This is about how we call emotional self-regulation. So if you can control the impulse, you're actually having a good self-regulation or a very good self-control. So remember this abbreviation, managing impulsivity. Remember start, stop, think, only then act, and then reflect and think about how the action was and how good it was or how bad it was so that you can improve better. And here I just want to be quick about two more slides here with regard to how to deal with stress. So there are many ways of dealing with stress. Example, it is normal to feel sad. It is normal to be distressed. It's normal to be worried. It's normal to be scared, right? It is normal to be angry during crisis. So this is the point that I want to say. It is a normal emotion. The only thing is you must know the limitation, right? You can talk to people you trust, you can stay at home and still maintain a healthy lifestyle. This is what we call stay at home but still more healthy. Be healthy and whatnot, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. And then you can always keep in touch with your family through phones, even though we are in distance, but virtually we are not, right? Don't use all the substance that doesn't help you in terms of cigarette, alcohol, and whatnot. If you feel overwhelmed, look for someone to talk to. You had a plan to do every day. You get your facts correct. You don't listen to fake news. Maybe spend time with the family. Don't just be alone. And maybe look up for the skill that you have all this while you forgot to actually focus on the skill or talent that you have. Maybe this is the nice time actually to start knowing who you are and what you can do. And here, the last slide, it's normal to feel sad again, as I said. Be aware of everything you hear. So not everything is true. So just get from the correct medium or source of information. So limit your worries and agitation. Don't listen to so many things that you don't like to listen. If you got so much input, negative input, you will feel bad. Yeah. So go for draw your skill. If you must stay at home, you must stay healthy, and don't go about dealing your emotion with using substances. Okay, that is all my slides. Sorry to take a long time here, but I hope we have good idea how to handle the situation. So I will stop my sharing. We will open for discussion. Okay, Felicia, back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Prof. I think that was a good, I think the first takeaway message that I have from how to manage your anger and also mm, for impulsive behaviors is knowing that 10% is what has happened. 90% is how you react or respond to it. I think that was my first when you mentioned, I think the first few slides already, it's an aha moment. And yes, and that movie of Adam Sandler,
Yeah, it's
that's
good
a
movie for
very,
everyone
uh,
to actually watch, especially medical student.
yeah, because I think especially when you're dealing with real life situation, it's easy to, be in theory, but then when you're practicing, when you're faced with those challenges, everybody's being tested.
Yeah.
There's a certain boiling point, right? That
Mm.
you want to really either you react to it, and I think reaction or responding to it, um, it's not it's not bad. It's just that when you the result and the outcome of it, that's I think that's the difference. I think
Yeah.
whether it's harming somebody or yourself, or it could be disrupting a relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose your temper, and you throw in the anger, and this also goes towards, like, I think during the pandemic, uh, I think more cases of domestic violence comes out,
Yeah.
and also self harm, and so many issues that is happening, and it's sometimes, and we don't see that those some we don't even see because there's no scars. We
Mm.
don't see that physical. If somebody get hit by a car, then we know that that person will end
Yeah.
up in hospital. But these are all these trauma and things that people go through, and it's uh, literally killing them inside, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think as much as pandemic um, has like sort of uh, getting extended, especially the lockdown and then quarantine MCO, CMCO, MCO, some open, some closed, and a lot of restriction is happening. So I'm guessing different people will react to it or respond to it differently. Most importantly, I think is to really take the steps that you mentioned. First one is stop, right?
Yeah.
Second one is think,
Only act, then act, and then you reflect.
reflect.
Action is A.
Action is the last one. A. R is
No, no. R is reflect. A is action. So stop, think,
stop, think,
then
act, and
act,
reflect.
and then you have to reflect.
Okay, sometimes the action may bring a positive or not so positive outcome. So R is for you to reflect whether you are taking the right action or you should re-strategize, right?
Mm.
And I feel that the few points that you have given, I think everybody is trying to do their best in terms of getting maybe exercise as part of their releasing their stress or the tension. I think is good.
Mm.
Um, Having enough of sleep, deep breathing. Yeah, like I like that you mentioned the punching bag.
Yeah, yeah.
Kickboxing is a really good. Yeah, I picked up kickboxing a couple of years back, and I've been always trained taekwondo since I was young as a martial arts self defense. But those are actually really good in terms of like releasing it in a very healthy way. Also, we can talk to people, connect with our friends.
Yeah.
Just example, like tomorrow, uh, I have a recipe that I always wanted to try, but I'm a bit afraid because I've never tried that recipe before. So my friend and I, we are both cooking at our own house, cooking the same recipe, and
Okay.
yeah, so we're going to like walk through each other like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna eat for lunch tomorrow, right? So it's a recipe like that. Yeah, so these are fun things that we can do. Or if
Yeah.
you are not even cooking, I feel that we started with this. We said, oh, let's order lunch. We are
Mm.
eating on our own, right? Because both of us are staying alone.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you feel like having? I said,
Mm.
let's try to see maybe Vietnamese food. So
Yeah.
both of us ordered Vietnamese food via Grab food, and
Mm.
then we were just eating a Vietnamese food. Something that we share in common for that particular day. That lunch. Yeah. So I think people can do that. To support each other.
Yeah.
Some that person is doing something, and it's almost like a emotional kind of check-in.
Mm.
And that person or you don't feel so left out.
Mm.
And although we are all sort of in quarantine, but
Yeah.
we are helping each other to cope in a
Mm.
healthy way. Yeah, so yeah, I think those are some of the good things that we can actually do,
Mm.
because it's like the storm is happening, but you have to stay center in the center. I think
Yeah.
that's what is very important. Not go along with the storm. I think you create a tornado. I think after that, right? Right. So we have actually quite a few participants today. So I just want to shout out to them. So we have Marianne, we have Norhani, we also have Puan Aida, and because she's under a different name, so you can actually change your name, Puan Aida. And then we have Noreen, we have Shafika. Okay, so some new, some regulars. So yeah, feel free to jump in if you want to say something, you can unmute yourself, or you can include in the chat box as well. So maybe you can share some of your how do you manage yourself during the pandemic. I think it's good. Yeah.
If I may add just a bit,
Mm,
Felicia.
mhm,
Yeah, first thing is that don't keep to a routine that is going to be too routine and getting boring. As you said
mm,
just now, learn new skill, do new things. Then
mm,
it actually will appease yourself and you don't get angry easily. The other thing is always remember, all of us, including me, we have what we call Achilles heel. So there is something that actually can trigger us to become losing control, getting poor impulse control, and also angry. So keep your Achilles heel at, away, not to be pushed by people and not to be actually at the end of the day reacted by you. Because there are sometimes there are things that because of frustration, it will come out very easily.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
something not so routine. I mean, routine gives us a good guideline. I think every day I think it's good to start with a routine. Sometimes we don't feel like it. I feel that the people must read between the lines of what you said just now. A routine actually helps us to sometimes we do the things to build good habits. Like I think during the early days of pandemic, because I don't have any appointments or any place to go to, so I end up waking up a bit later in the morning, and I actually felt very unproductive
Yeah.
throughout the day, right? And yeah, because you just lose motivation, you just like taking like a honeymoon sweet time, own sweet time to just do anything. But at the end of the day, because we are so used to being on the go, I remember going out from the house at 6 a.m. and coming back at 9 p.m. So when you're really at home, you have no choice but to, um, do something, have a routine. So I created a routine for myself by waking up as early as 4:30 or 5 a.m. in the morning. I included some of the things that I actually it's not easy because I don't. If you have nothing on and you have to force yourself to wake up at a certain time, it's actually not easy as well. But I do it because the results of waking up that early, it's like I can spend time doing meditation, journaling, do some stretching, and just having the time for myself. And then I start my day. So I felt more productive and I felt much better, rather than just like wasting day by day. I know don't have a schedule, or I know that maybe I have to like maybe talk to my clients a few hours in a day, but that was about it, right? Yeah. So having the routine helps you to get back on, on what you are supposed to do, and when it gives you the results, I feel that you can add on things. I didn't start by cooking. I think the first 2 weeks I was just eating what I have or ordering what I can, and then I started adding on new things. And from for me, beginning I wasn't even doing any much of cooking. Then I started, I can actually make my own meals. I can be more creative. I end up uh, sharing, and then I get more inspiration from other people, and then so many things happen after that. So I think yeah, creating a routine is important, but it's also important like don't just eat, sleep, work, repeat. Do something that maybe that you have been not putting into the last few years because you are busy working. I think people feel burnt out, right? So maybe spend time talking to a friend, or maybe do some gardening, get some sun. Yeah. So adding those things on creates that healthy kind of routine, not like a very just work and responsibility, and that could be quite overwhelming when you're just especially people are working from home. I think people don't have that boundary anymore. It's just in front of the computer, working and working, meetings after meetings, which is understandable because that's the only sort of a lifeline. But then of course when you're at work, you have a different kind of pressure, and you still have to deliver what you're supposed to do, but you're at home. So you got to add in something that makes you feel happy as well. So don't forget about yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. Anything? And anybody else wants to add on of their routine during the pandemic? Because since we've been 1 year, I think almost 1 year in lockdown, in a way, maybe we can share some of the things that we start to do, and um, uh, as an idea for some of us who can actually, take this as part of our uh, coping mechanism or a healthy way to release your stress.
Yeah, I want to say something here. I think
Mhm.
basically, thanks, Prof, so much for your input. Um, it's like when you come to, you see one hand clap, but there's no sound. You see, there must be one trigger point. That's why if you are living in a couple, it's very important to learn what trigger anger, how the level, the understanding to respond to impulse is very important, because that will start to trigger a lot of so-called stress, and then you will freak out. So I think both sides is so important to understand. Sometimes the intellect over the emotion issue again. You see,
Yeah.
when your emotion is bigger than your intellect, then you lose your mind. Then it was very good thing. That's why I say I feel that there are so many points Prof has said about anger management. So we can always try to master one at a time. Because it is so many, so complicated. It's very easy to say, but it's very difficult to really stay calm. So I think, for example, count down, all this, and that is, I think, is very, very good. Like walk away, you it's very good. So thanks for that, and I think I would learn. Try to apply that one at a time.
Yeah.
Then it will help me to. It will reduce, my our quick response to something that we don't like to hear. But everything has a good point. There's no right or wrong thing. It's how you deal with it. Right?
It's very interesting. One example is that the mosquito around your ears. Sometimes
Oh, that's the worst.
you get angry, you slap, but you hit yourself. You
Oh,
may
Yeah.
hit the
yeah.
mosquito, but you also hurt yourself by the ear. So
Oh,
that
you
is
know
what.
what I do?
Yeah,
I actually end up cleaning the environment so there's no more mosquitoes. So that solved the problem actually. It's because
yeah,
I keep an environment that allows more mosquito breeding, right? So
yeah. The root cause, the root cause,
yeah, the root cause is to clean your
not
house
to.
and your environment.
Okay,
Okay,
anyone
so
else?
there is a question. There is a
Yeah.
question from the floor. Okay, because it's a direct message, so I'm reading it. Okay, I have two questions. Okay.
Okay.
How do we focus when studying? Oftentimes, distractions are inevitable.
Mm. Okay, number one, study. You should not stay longer than half an hour because your
Oh,
focus can
wow.
only be the most 20 minutes for that particular section. If you try to be
Mm,
more than that, the other half an hour, if you decide to be 1 hour, the first half an hour you may get something. The other half an hour is going to be a waste. But how can you actually make every half an hour a meaningful hour? That is most important. Example, like if you study, if you're trying to read or you're trying to listen to something, I think the best is you have to have the input from using all your senses. Reading quietly, reading silently, it is very boring.
mm,
Unfortunately, sometimes English, maybe sometimes the language that was used, we are not so familiar with. Comprehension can be the issue here. So immediately after sometime one paragraph already sort of make you feel, cannot proceed further. So
mm,
to me, the best learning is actually via audio visual sensation. I mean, listen to
mm,
someone saying, listen to someone talking, listen to someone actually simplify things. Only then reading makes sense. So
mm.
if ever you want to do break it up to smaller pieces. As remember the previous session that we had, small wins with
Yeah.
small bite size kind of a thing. So if
Mm,
ever you have to do things, don't try to finish it one go. Do it bit by bit, doing it every half an hour, and 20 minutes to cover that. Another 10 minutes actually to so-called recapitulate, and then another 10 minutes after that. Maybe we used to do it in our med school last time. After reading for half an hour, after making notes, after thinking that we understood, what we did was, most of us, we will go to our friend's room and then start asking the friend to explain about that particular part that we have just read. If the
mm.
friend is not able to explain, then you say, okay, I just read, let me explain to you. Now the guy
Mm.
say, okay, you explain. But unfortunately, sometimes the guy is so clever, the guy say they don't know. But then when you explain, actually you were wrong. Then the guy was saying, hey, actually you are wrong. This is what it is. Then you know actually you got it all wrong. So actually it's an active
Mm,
learning.
Yep.
So once
okay,
then actually you interact. Then after
Mm.
that you
nice.
can go back, and then the next thing is that learning for that half an hour is not a
Mm,
successful learning until you're able to answer any exam question about that particular part of it. If
mm,
you can teach others, if you can answer question, actually that covers the complete set of learning that half an hour. And
Yep.
you feel good. And once
Mm.
you feel good, actually you can move to the next part half an hour.
yeah,
And I can tell you, most of the time we don't even want to sleep because we feel so good that we get it and we got it right there and we complete it well. So that is the
okay,
part. So it was active learning. So for us last time, we just make the 5 days learning fully, and the other 2 weekend days, we enjoy ourselves very well. And we go
yeah.
back to full 5 days on a Sunday night to prepare for the Monday work.
Okay, I want to
I would,
summarize that. I think, yeah,
mm,
focus is actually, yeah, distractions is actually inevitable, like what the question is just now. Yeah, focus, you can only focus maximum 20 minutes. So that's why there's so many techniques online, like Pomodoro technique. It's only 20 minutes to do something important. So that's why long meetings and long lectures actually doesn't work because your body is there, your mind will be somewhere else. So when we are working from home or studying from home, I think this is the technique that we can use, like what Prof was saying just now. Take 20 minutes to focus and 10 minutes and break and get somebody, talk to somebody. Recently, what I've been doing is that I have a friend in Australia because we were having an interest on the same particular topic on the book. So we ended up having a book club session once a week, and because the book has a lot of chapters, we are doing one chapter at a time. So I be reading the all the chapters. I can be a fast reader, but I don't really understand, right? So and she's also learning. So what we do is that we study like what Prof has just mentioned just now. We just studied the one chapter each time we meet. We use discussion. We use videos that has been spoke about on YouTube. We watch the video together, and then we discuss after that. So that actually enhance our learning experience and understanding about that particular chapter and book, chapter by chapter. Yeah,
yeah,
so I think you if you have a buddy to talk about, I think that's great, because at the end of the day we can't do it. Yeah. So all right, no problem. I think Marianne has to excuse herself. Okay, so she learns. Okay, she's saying that she has to leave now, but she actually wants to share that she learned a new musical instrument. Yeah, so saxophone. Wow, become the next Kenny G. All right, that's good. Thank you so much for your. Yeah, music helps you to relax as well. I think that's good. Learning a new or go back to your hobby, your old hobbies that you have left because of work. Sometimes it's also good, right? Okay, the next
yeah.
question actually is the last question. So since we have to call it a night, how do we forgive ourselves?
Okay, most important
Mm,
is that until unless you feel yourself love, self-worth, only then you don't defeat yourself. But if you go into the other part of it, that means all this while you self-blame, thinking that you are the one who's at fault all the time, that actually stems from your inferiority complex. That stems from your insecurities. Unfortunately, this has been actually programmed since young. Somehow there could be something happen within the family when you were with your parent, and the parent actually program you as though you are not worth a person to reckon for yourself, and so others does not reckon you. So I think that is the issue here. We need to change that. We need to change that so-called mindset, belief, perception, because it is already imprinted into your subconscious mind. So there, actually, number one, please put down everything that is a good point about yourself, because a lot of people does forgot to actually look at their strength, look at their potential, look at their innate talents, look at their ability. They forgot to write that. They look at all the negative one because they already developed the negative psychology. So right now, most important is, as much as possible, bring down every bits that create sense of worth within you. Let's say, oh, I was able to study, I was able to actually do good in maths. So that is one point. Oh, then I'm also good in this. Oh, I'm also good in that. So actually you realize all this while you have it, but you don't even realize it because you did not acknowledge it. I think that is important. Start acknowledging the right thing and don't exaggerate the wrong thing, because I think we tend to be a creature of actually negativism as compared to being a positive nature person. As I said, somehow our white cloth since young has been painted with so much dark color, maybe, or whatever it is that subsequently does not shine the brightness, the good aura, the chi that is in us, giving us a good sense, good vibes, good energy, and whatnot. It was being clogged by these so-called thick layers of, how should I say, crust or whatever it is that governs or that enclose your diamond that you have within you. All of us are born nature-wise with a very good fitra, with a good nature, but people make it bad. And that's who we are.
Okay, I think that's really good, is to focus on the good things and acknowledging. I think we are just creatures because maybe it stems from the insecurities of fear of being judged, and we judge ourselves also very harshly as well. So I think us as being humans, we think we always live in the past, and that's the regret, and then we are also anxious of the future. So and at the end of the day, why we must be training our mind to live in the present moment. That's why it's called a gift, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think that is something that we have to work on every single day. It's not something that you do and then it stays with you. Nobody has is always feeling good, right? So we have to work on it every single,
Mm.
like habits like brushing your teeth.
Example, like everybody, actually, those who are very stable, those who are internally very strong, actually they also face a lot of challenges. The only thing is, it is how they react from within and how they react within their mind. I think that is the issue here. So now we have to develop that part of it, the within, the so-called the old program need to be shut down and then bring in a new record. We can actually manipulate your new subconscious mind, but with the system we can do that. We can do, most important is mindful behavior. Mindful of, you have to be mindful about the good and mindful about the bad, so that the bad can be further put a stop and then improve, and the good
Yep.
can be more enhanced. And
Yep.
also we can do hypnotherapy actually.
Mm,
For those who are interested, actually we can have an individual session
mm,
hypnotherapy, and then subsequently can teach you self hypnosis, how you can
mm,
do hypnosis yourself to
mm.
reprogram your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I think that's good. Yeah, great. I hope that answers your questions. And yeah, so that's why this platform is being set up, so that we are able to tap into experts like Prof Muhammad, on in terms of uh this week's topic is really great about anger management, and and questions like this helps us to also learn. We also get to learn because these are some things that we are facing on our own, and people around us, and how do we facilitate that as well. And with Fit Unit, we're working on fitness and wellness, nutrition as a whole, so that it actually enhance and support. Because at the end of the day, is that um, what we have done so far from Prof, we've known that stress um, is it's inevitable. It's how we manage it. It's how we respond to it, right? So using our lifestyle, like eating balance and getting sufficient of sleep, doing deep breathing, hydration, like doing self-hypnosis, affirmations. Those are things that's going to help us face those, reality challenges, and make us indeed a better person for ourselves and also for the people around us. Yeah. So we look forward to seeing each other more definitely weekly. And today's session is a bit over by 15 minutes, but I think because it's such a nice topic, and thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much, Prof, for your insightful session.
Yep,
So
thank you.
this video will be available later on, and we wish everybody stay home, stay safe. Oh, that's Noreen. Hi, Noreen. And and everybody who's joining, thank you so much. Aida, Marianne, Noreen, Shafika, there's also Nurhani, Coach Wong, myself, Alicia, and also Prof Mohammad. So good night, everybody.
Yes.
Okay, good
Yep.
night.
Stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stay safe.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.